Ciao ragazzi and benvenuti to an incredibly special podcast. On a very special day, happy birthday everybody. Welcome to Henry and Raffa's 100 Things We Love About Napoli, a special episode bringing together podcasting families, bringing back together brothers in arms from the old days of Sempre, of Far From Vesuvius. Here we are back together for the 100th anniversary of our beloved club. Raffa Rispo, last time I saw you was in sunny Naples. Here we are. Tell me how you doing on this special day. Buon compleanno.
Grazie, Henry. Buon compleanno a te. I'm feeling great about Napoli Ciento, right? I've I've been thinking about this day for a long time, where I would be, what we would be doing, what the club would be doing. I know they're having a very big party out in Napoli, pretty much all over the place there. But it's an honor to have you for this recording, for this special podcast. I felt compelled to do something very special about, to leave our mark and to let people know how we feel. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows how we feel, but yeah, and to share some of my favorite moments, to share some of my favorite things, about Napoli, about Naples, about the club, about the city, and what.
It's gonna be a mix. You just gave me brevity, Rafa, just saying
Sure.
that.
Yeah, right. And
So
what this club has brought us, personally as well.
exactly, this is highly subjective. So just to give everyone a little glimpse behind the curtain, me and Rafa have been chatting on WhatsApp for a while now to go, how can we do something for the centenary? And eventually we came up with the idea of this idea of 100 things that we love. And yeah, it's going to be a mixture of moments in games, players, matches, things from Naples, moments we've had at Naples. I haven't seen Rafa's list and he hasn't seen mine, right?
Nope.
And I'm going to try and share this. So it's 1 minute per thing. And I think we're going to split this into 4 episodes. Uh, what could possibly go wrong, Rafa?
I'm a very long-winded person, so you'll have, and everybody knows this. You'll have
I
to
believe I
really.
said to you, if you're in charge of this, it will be 97-hour
No.
podcast. So
I think you're the perfect host anyway. My hosting skills are less than. I'm very
that's
much
not
a
true, Rafa.
responder. Well, you're the perfect host, Henry. You're In the Shadow of Vesuvio is one of my favorite podcasts of all
Stop
time.
it. Stop it.
No, it is. It is. It is. And you and Michele do such a great job. And
And we'll
I've
be
always
back soon,
been.
everyone. If you're worried, I know it's been a while, but we were going to do a podcast, and then Michele went on holiday to Sicily suddenly. What a life that man leads.
He lives such a great life. What a job he has too, right?
I mean, great guy. But no, Rafa, I'm so pleased we're doing this. We've had some good times over the years. It's been, I think, 10 years, nearly 10 years since we've been doing pods together. So anyway, so that's the admin. 1 minute. I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on this. And this is very subjective. So we're going to miss so many things out. Please don't come for us.
A hundred
This is just
percent.
things that are in our hearts. So the first rule is that the first thing that we're going to say, Rafa, is the first thing that we wrote down in our
So
notes.
I need to full disclosure. I wrote everything down and then I organized it into categories. So I have to search for what I wrote first, but I think I
Okay.
remember what
You
it was.
remember? Okay.
I
Do you want me
do.
to go first?
No,
Whilst
yes, you can go first. I'm pretty sure nothing is in order after my first. Think I remember my first, but we're good. Let's go.
I can't wait to do this. Right, here we go. I'm pressing start on the stopwatch so I keep an eye on the time. So
Let's go.
the first thing I wrote down in the 100 years of this club, Ciro Mertens' goal against Genoa.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
I
What
don't
a
know, don't
touch.
know why,
What a,
Rafa.
it like okay, so I saw Messi do a similar touch at the World Cup. And when
Wasn't as good.
everybody was going crazy about it, I thought myself,
I
it's
had the
been
same
done
thing.
before.
I had exactly the same thing. I was like,
I said,
l-
I love that. I love that.
Diarra's assist, he loops it over, he kills
Yeah.
it. Ciro kills it dead, and then absolutely leathers it into the roof of the net.
Ugh.
I don't know, like it's one of those moments that whenever I want to feel better about Napoli or even like my life, I just think of Ciro Mertens scoring that goal. And he is, I think, in my lifetime as a Napoli viewer, the player that's given me the most joy. And that I think was his best goal. So that's interesting, isn't it? The first thing I wrote down was that. How about you, Raffa?
So, okay, the first thing I wrote down was Maradona's goal versus Milan in 1989. Serie A, the header, the break of the short of the high press, and the long ball that bounced in front of him between him and Gali, and he went up for the header, and it just kind of slow bounced into the net. That was a 4-1 win over Milan, and it was my first real memory. I mean, I know I've watched before that time, and I was probably 5 years old, but when I thought of my first memory of Napoli, like my very first memory was that. Like I know I was able to, write down the entire starting 11 on paper. I was, make drawing pictures of Maradona and stuff like that. But that
Yeah.
goal was my very first memory, and it was
And
one
it's
of
an
my
incredibly
first
memorable
goals.
goal. It's a diving header, and also it's against Baresi. It's Maldini's in the starting lineup. It's
Sure,
Saki's
that
first
defense is
season.
magic.
It's beautiful, and we absolutely took them to the cleaners in that game.
Yeah,
Didn't we
we
score
did.
like three in the first half or so? It was just like sudden, good choice. I love that. It's on my list. I'm gonna have to delete it off my list. So we've done
Okay.
two. Um, I'm got having my first San Genovese in the Cortieri. There we go. I, it was
Oh,
it was the second Scudetto, and
okay.
it was the same trattoria we all went to later. Maybe I'll say this a bit later,
Okay.
but I had never had a Genovese before, and Michele had been talking about it a lot. It was a great trip. It was a bit more dramatic than the first Scudetto of our lifetimes, Scudetto number three.
Mhm.
And I was there with my partner, and it was just absolutely out of this world delicious. And it wasn't quite what I was expecting. So yeah, and it felt good to actually finally eat something that Michele had been banging on about for years.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Um my second thing on this list was the Magica trio. Maradona, Giordano and Careca for that 1987-88 season. What a team that was.
Oof,
That what a trio. Um this is before that goal, so it's before any like real like solid memories that I have, but going back and watching a lot of tape and a lot of clips, the trio of those three should have won everything there was to offer.
it's crazy they didn't win anything. That's
It's crazy
insane.
that they didn't win anything at all that year. They had that lead at the end of the
Napoli tradition. Well, yes,
season.
we have our theories, don't we, about that on our
We have our
Maradona
theories
part.
about that. We've covered that a bit. But just that's something that I can distinctly remember is magica, and the play on words, the
Magica.
melding together of the names, making the word magica. That
And what an attack. They all complemented each other. You got Maradona,
yeah,
genius, could do anything.
for sure.
Bruno, interesting. Remember we did the show? Like he really reminded me of Callahan in a weird way. He was a bit more of a
Yeah,
striker, but he just never stopped working and put those crosses in like no one's business, but scored a lot of important goals.
sure did.
Great choice. It's on my list. I have to delete that one. Okay, so we got to five, and we're the fifth one. We're 5 minutes in. We're kind of sticking to schedule, Raf. This is
Yeah,
good.
we're doing all right.
Okay, I'm going hipster here.
Do it.
I'm going for the Zerbinator in the Supercoppa a few years
Oh,
back when Zerbin just turned into the best player in the world for two games.
with that, the two goals, and then the goal scored after getting mangled in the head. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And it was like, just for me, it's just like pure Napoli. I don't know how to describe it. Like, we've got people listening who probably came to the club at very different points. But for me, there's just this great tradition of players that are mostly rubbish, but just have this incredible burst of memorable behavior. And Zerbin will always be my guy because he just turned up when nobody thought he was going to turn up.
Well,
And then I
and
think he got like called up to Italy or something afterwards as well, which was
he did
crazy.
get called up to Italy, but he also got shipped out immediately after that.
Yeah,
Like
which is also very Napoli. Didn't he go to like
shipped out
Venezia or
right after
something?
that. And I'll never understand it, but what are you gonna do?
Hey, Zerbin, the Zerbinator, in 100 years' time, when people are listening back to this on a 200th anniversary, I hope his contributions will still be remembered. Right, Raffa, number six, over to you.
Number six was the 1989 Copa UEFA win, the first major European trophy. I'll never forget the final against Stuttgart. The goals that were scored there, particularly the one by Cito Ferrara, the throw in by Maradona, which was sort of intercepted and lobbed into the air right for his head. Uh, Strong header with those neck muscles and the shoulder. Strong header, the header cross into Ferrara, who one times it like a striker. Uh, Never forget that. Never forget that. And then the breakaway goal to kind of seal the deal.
Alamau.
Yeah, what a play by Alamau, and then Maradona obviously finding Careca for the goal, and lifting that silver trophy was something I'll never ever forget.
Such an
And
iconic trophy, though, that UEFA Cup as
what
well.
an
I mean,
icon!
as we talked
And
about, it was a different
it,
competition back then as well. It was much harder to win.
It was a much different competition back then. I tried to explain to people when they, kind of talked down on Napoli's UEFA Cup and that's all they won, is that, that UEFA Cup system was essentially the Champions League of today. You had the 2 through 5 qualifying. We played against teams like Juventus and Bayern Munich on the way
Bayern
to
Munich, yeah, exactly. And
just
that, yeah,
unbelievable.
there's going to be other things from that campaign. So I'm going to piggyback off this actually. So number
Okay.
seven, I'm going to be more specific and say Ciro Ferrara's celebration in that game,
Ooh,
which for
yes.
me, and it's probably my favorite photograph you can see. So those of you listening don't know it, just Google Ferrara goal UEFA Cup, and you'll see it. And he's like homegrown boy, and it just obviously means so much to him. And he's mobbed, and he just like raises his hands in the air, and it's just like it's a completely iconic picture that I can visualize it perfectly every time I think about it. So you know what I mean? And there's something about that. And it was a complex game in many ways, but that for me was just the moment of it was that celebration, I think. Beautiful moment
Oh
for
yeah,
our hometown boy.
absolutely.
And no matter what he did afterwards in his career and where he went afterwards, I think he will always be remembered, I think, for that. Anyway,
I think
number
so.
eight, what you got, Raf?
Oh, I'm going number 8. You're not, you're throwing it on me.
Yeah, so that was my seven, was the celebration.
Oh,
So
your 7 was the celebration. Okay, okay. My number 8 was the Scudetto clincher for 1990. The Marco Baroni goal on the I think it was a header from Maradona's free kick.
yeah,
I'll never forget where I was for that. I was in the Bronx at a cafe with my father and a bunch of family and friends, and we hit the streets of the Bronx like it was as if Italy won the World Cup. There were a lot of Neapolitans in the Bronx at the time, and a lot of Napoli fans. And I wonder what happened with all their children and becoming Milan
mm,
and Juve fans. It's crazy to me to think how many friends I have that would tell me that they're a fan of a certain Serie A team when they say, "Oh, but my dad's a Napoli fan,"
mm,
and how I stuck true to being a Napoli fan. I stuck through it throughout the entirety of Napoli's, decline after the 90s and, after 1990. And that goal in that day just reminds me of how, like, I am so proud of myself in being able to stay a Napoli fan.
love it. And you are. You're the Presidente,
I'm the
Rafa.
Presidente. Yeah,
And
that's
I
it.
love it. I mean, that's great. And I can, the way that and actually, I was talking to your dad as well when he was in Naples, like talk
Yeah.
about that whole culture of Napoli fans back then in particular. It sounds like what an amazing moment to be a kid. So, what you would have been like seven or
I was
seven?
7 years old. Yeah.
Because we're both 1983, aren't we?
Yeah, we're both
Uh,
1983. Yeah.
hey. Um, that's a great one. Okay, I'm going to do a quick one now. Um, I was sat in Naples. I think this was for our Scudetto 3 last game of the season
Okay, yeah.
in a cafe where you could see Vesuvio,
Mm.
feeling beautifully like a Napoli, not like a plastic fan. I order a coffee, having a chat with the barista. Who do you support? And he was a Juventino. And I thought, this is the most typical thing that could ever happen to me. Um, and it really made me laugh. And
How how anybody can employ a Juventino in Naples is beyond me.
but hey, there we go. Number 10, what you got, Rafa Rispo?
Well, so number 10 is Diego Maradona himself for me.
Beautiful.
It was kind of by design. Is Maradona's first appearance as a Napoli player, the walking up the steps, the 70 or 80,000 fans greeting him at the then São Paulo, him juggling the ball, in midfield. And at the time, I don't know if there was ever a player that received that kind of treatment coming in.
Mm.
So that's my number 10 is Maradona, just the signature of Maradona. And that day, I want to say, what was it, like a July 5th? Is that the day
I
he
think so.
he 1984? That might be the day. I'm maybe
I
mixing it
mean,
up.
we would have just turned
1 year
one.
old. Yeah. Yeah.
Our memories aren't that good, but I think a number that will forever be his and it will never belong to anyone else's for
Hmm.
any club or any nation.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a beautiful symbolic choice. Number 11, I'm gonna say I've got so many things in front of me here. Something more up to date. Lobotka's press resistant little turning circle that he does when he's got
Oh,
the ball and everyone's trying to get it off him,
oh,
and he just does this little turning
slows
around
it
in a
down.
circle.
Just slows it back to take reclaiming control
And he's
is
like,
what he
sorry,
does.
guys, you've messed with the wrong guy. And I
Yeah.
think we've had so many stars help us win trophies in recent years
Right.
that have been wonderful players. But there's just something about Lobotka that has stayed with me. And also the fact that he was crap when he arrived and then he you know, became the best midfielder in Europe in that
He
position.
lost a ton of weight. He
Yeah,
he
he got
took, I guess
divorced.
he took Gattuso's words for as gospel and ended up getting back into shape and became actually a legend of the club in my opinion.
Absolute mito. And I think every time he does it, it makes me happy. It's one of those things. It's coming, but it's like, another thing that I might talk about in another one, another player that always did the same thing, but every time he did it, it made us happy. Number 12,
Number 12 for me, I'm gonna go with Insigne. I think Insigne is just an emotional character for Napoli fans. He definitely tugged at my heartstrings now and then. We didn't win much with him, but he provided many great moments, and I think he was a decent captain. It's a lot of pressure to ask a Napoli boy to be a captain of the club he grew up with.
mm,
And I think at the end of the day, when we look at the whole body of his work, I think he came through for us. He provided many memorable goals. One of them, the Real Madrid goal in at the Bernabeu. Though we lost
glorious.
the game. I think Insigne is very underrated when it comes to the Napoli lore. And I know now he's playing with Sampdoria, which kind of annoys me a little bit, but I like I like to think about Insigne in a positive way all the time.
I would just always think of his 16-17 season. And he was
What
unbeatable.
an amazing season.
You couldn't do anything against him in that.
No.
Yeah, yeah. Complex guy, but yeah, let's give him his props. Homegrown. Number 13, I'm gonna say Jose Callahan's
Cool.
far post goals.
Ah,
So that's what I was referring to before. Like Lobotka's, little turning circle. You know it's coming. Every time it happens, you're like, thank you, Lord. It just and how opposition coaches didn't work out how to deal with this. But under Maurizio Sarri, Callahan popping up at that far post, just beautiful and just a stand-up guy. And there was back in the day, he was a bit of a controversial figure, if you remember, towards the end of his career, people complaining about him. But I
Yeah.
was always a big fan of his. Gave everything for the team, and actually his stats, considering how much we used to complain about him online, are incredible. But yeah, give me a Callahan far post goal any day of the week, please.
Yeah, you look back and it's a real shame that that team also didn't win anything. We talked about the 88, 80, the 87, 88 squad.
Yeah,
This 17, 18 team not winning anything was just a travesty. You know, I think of Callejon and I think of just work. Work rate is
yeah.
tremendous. And those goals that he scored, with the Insigne lobs, like you said, how a manager didn't figure that out is just beyond me. And yeah, he provided a lot of great memories too. Very underrated because nobody really knew who he was. We knew he came from Real Madrid, but like him coming in was also very important and special.
I agree. And actually, that was a really amazing mercato funded by anyway, we're going off top. Anyway, stop it. So
Stop it.
14, what you having?
14 for me. I'm gonna go Cavani. Edinson
Very good.
Cavani, the everything about him, the the goals he scored, the magic he helped produce for us. We won our first trophy since the Maradona era with him. The way, at the time everybody's upset that his transfer went through to PSG, and very much mad that he left. So was I was able to forgive him for that, just the way he speaks about Napoli all the time. And I know you have a little bit of a qualm with Cavani, but
That's
I
fine.
think I think the sale of Cavani leading to the purchase of Higuain, Mertens, Callejon, that mercato
Mm.
helped set us up to be the club that we are today. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's the contribution Cavani left to us.
And back then, 60 million quid was a huge amount of money as well. Like we
Absolutely.
did well to get that fee. Okay, I'm going to piggyback off that. Number 15 is specifically Cavani's goal against Lecce,
Oh,
which in the 93rd minute, I believe it was.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Grava got the ball back, gave it to Cavani, dances through the whole team, and scores. And it's just an incredibly dramatic moment. It's an incredible hit as well, and an iconic celebration. Everything you need to know about the guy. And I believe a certain Michele Borelli was in Curva A that day and was
He
behind the
frequently
goal.
there, yeah. So everything about that too. The goal line clearance from Grava, and the fact that once Cavani hit that goal, Juventus were scored on, and we overtook them in the standings, and we're about 3 points from first at Christmas break. That was just, it all happened at once, and
It's so weird being in that position under Mazzarri and all this stuff.
so
Like
weird,
it just get
so
is
weird.
like having like just feeling giddy as a fan. You
What
know,
was it? Only our fourth season back in Serie A from obscurity, right?
yeah,
Just that was a special
maybe,
time. That was really
yeah.
special time.
So that's mine. What are we on? 16. Yes.
16, yes.
Go.
Okay, Walter Mazzarri. Walter
Yes. He's
Mazzarri,
on my list too.
stint number one.
Of course.
Uh, he really set the tone for this team and the shape that they played. And his 3-5-2 inspired other coaches to go that route. I think he was a visionary at the time, and he helped provide some great like European nights. We had a second place finish under him, a magical season in that 10-11 season where we clinched Champions League again. There's not a lot you can say negative about that Walter Mazzarri with Napoli. And it kind of makes me feel good that he went to Inter later and didn't do well and then just didn't have a great career after that, you know? Like,
Another double agent, a bit like Ciro Ferrara's managerial
yeah,
career
for
at
sure.
Juventus.
For sure.
It was all deliberate, you know.
For sure.
Great choice, love it. And again, someone that I will always appreciate, even if it didn't go quite as well second time round. But we don't need to talk about that. Um, okay, really specific one for number 17 is Kim's crunching tackle
Ooh.
early doors in the 5-1 against Juventus in Scudetto
Oh,
3.
yes.
So a lot of
Yeah.
us, when we think of that game, we obviously think about lots of very exciting goals and Kvaratskhelia giving Danilo the, you know, the game of his life. I don't think he ever quite recovered for that. But for me, everything changed. The atmosphere in there, I wasn't there. Ken was there in the stadium then, Ciao Ken. But everything changed after that tackle. And it was actually quite a nervy beginning. People forget. I think it was only in like the eighth minute or something like that. It
Right.
definitely wasn't the eighth minute, whatever. And I can't remember who was it. I think it was it against Di Maria? I can't remember who the player was, but he just goes in, gets the ball, and the man. And you could just see the rest of the team get that lift. And Kim was only with us
Yeah.
for one season, but he was so incredible. And I think any history of the club has to remember his contributions to that third Scudetto, which I don't think would have happened without him, actually. Like he was incredible for his first season in Italy, or only season in Italy. But that particular tackle stays with me
Mm.
forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with that. And I think for my number, what number are we on? 18?
18.
I think for my number 18, I'm going to piggyback off of that and look at ADL and his strategy overall, like his strategy overall. Very frustrating for fans, for certain fans, for some fans.
Mm.
But the ability to find the talent and then develop them and then sell them off for more to continue to grow the club when we needed it, leading up to glory, you know, and even doing it in the season we won a Scudetto, you know, with Kim Min Jae, we brought him in for what, 16 mil and sold him off for about 60, right?
Yeah, it's very good business.
That's amazing business, you know, and we got a Scudetto out of that. But that's just one example of many previous to that, where, you know, Kvaratskhelia, you find him for 10, you sell him for 70, you know, the Osimhen deal, the, you know, Higuain, you know,
Mm.
as mad as we were at him for leaving in the night, you know, it was 100 million. And
Yeah,
it really, you have to look back at it and think that all up, helped shape up what Napoli is today. You know, the brand that they are, the recognition they have, and we're winners now. So there's nothing really you can say about it negatively, and I just really admire that.
absolutely. Um, yeah, exactly. Whatever you think about ADL, you look at the bottom line, and he has done an outstanding job. My number 19 is we're going to go way back to our first ever season. Napoli only getting 1 point in our
Oh,
first ever season is glorious for me.
yeah,
And I love it. And it makes me really happy. Because there's a certain kind of Italian football fan who supports other clubs who get a bit, get a bit clucky about themselves and are always showing off about how many things they've won, how many things they haven't won. And for me, I just love the fact we can say, yeah, we got 1 point in our first ever season. We were the worst team in the country by a mile,
yeah,
but the greatest player of all time played for us a few years later and won us everything. So we can enjoy the fact that we were completely crap. And it'd be interesting to see in the centenary celebrations how many times the fact that we were completely awful with a good player
Salustro.
yeah, Salustra, Attilio
Yeah.
Salustra in the team, we still only ended up with 1 point. And I think we had a really incredible goal difference. It was like minus 50 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we've come a long
I think
way.
we only scored single digit goals that year. Yeah,
9 goals, I think it was.
we have come along quite a bit, and I'm not 100% sure why we weren't relegated to Serie B that time. I don't know if Serie B was I mean, I'm sure it was a thing, but
I just
like,
don't think they had it back then. Or yeah, there was a
there
lot of
was
politics going around because they
yeah, there
wanted to
was a
have
reason we stayed up, but
city
we
teams
did.
and things.
Yeah.
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 So that's my one. Number 20.
Number 20, I'm gonna go ahead and the fact that Napoli is the only team to ever have won the Coppa Italia in Serie B. Um, their
Nice.
1961-62 Coppa, they did get promoted that season. They beat Spal in the final of Coppa Italia, but no one has yet to be able to accomplish that. And I don't know if that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
We can do some research and find other teams from other leagues that have done it, maybe. But honestly, the you know the just think about that today. A promotion side coming up actually winning the Coppa Italia. It's pretty unbelievable if you ask me.
That are currently playing in that second tier. Yeah, and it was
Sure. Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, I think that's a really good one. I'm going to come in with a relevant one for 21, which is Kane, the
Oh,
one of the first black players to play in the league,
yes.
an amazing winger. If played for the club in the 60s. I believe he stuck. He carried on playing for us whilst we got relegated, and was a really, really important person in not just the history of Napoli, but in the history of Italian football, and stayed in the city and very much was part of the
Right.
club and was very much sort of embraced by the city and the club. And I think, generally speaking, is a really good example of what you probably would call an adopted son, of like how so many players have come from different backgrounds and nationalities and have been warmly embraced by the team. He joined the season after we won that Coppa Italia, but then I think he was part of the second one, wasn't he? That we
Yeah,
won.
yeah. He was on the second 1975, 76, I believe. He did stay on for quite a while.
Yeah. And I think he got involved. He was the youth coach and stuff. But
Yeah,
anyway,
he was involved with the club afterwards too. He was very loyal to the club. They say see Naples and die, right? And he must have decided, I'm gonna be here for a long time.
exactly.
The 1960s version of the Napoli glow up, right?
Nice. Okay, more of that later, perhaps. What's your number 22?
Number 22 is, you know what? I'm gonna veer from what we're talking about right now, and I'm gonna go into like the aura of Naples. For me, 22 is just being around 40 Grota on a match day.
Yes.
Just going to any, cafe, a bar, a restaurant, just the feeling of, I'll never forget getting a sfogliatella and a coffee and just walking around, and seeing the Maradona in the view
Yeah.
and anticipating something magical happening. Specifically, when I was walking around with Biz and Quinton um, for Napoli Inter, the season we won the Scudetto. That for some reason just kind of sticks with me, and that aura, that feeling that, what, I'm around the grounds, and even there it's just a lot of happiness. There's nothing negative, there's no like ill feelings, there's nothing, obviously when we're winning, but you know
Yeah.
the magic of the area.
And I'm going to add to that 23 is the bar, the specific wine bar that we meet up, whose name I can never remember.
It's not, is it Bar Mexico?
No, it's the one next door, I think.
Is it the one next door?
It's got a ridiculous name. Michele's was like, I don't know
Michele
why they
will
called
know,
it that.
obviously.
And it's incredible because you can see the stadium from there. We all
Oh
stand outside.
yeah.
I remember the first time I went, I remember I was there to meet Michele, obviously, but also there was Daniel Bowen and the other Michele, who actually came over to Scotland
Oh,
last year, and I was giving us some advice about places to go. And it was the first time that I was an in-person Napoli fan, really. And I
mm,
still remember it to this day, just having a few drinks and just talking about Napoli. We talked about the new stadium or whatever, and I was like, "This is incredible." And all the times I've been back since, that's the place where we meet. And I've always met a complete stranger from a different country to mine, and we talk about Napoli. And there's just something about that bar that I love very much. So yeah, a Fuorigrotta institution for me. 24. We're coming up to the end of our first chunk here, so we've got two more before we might wrap things up and come back. What do you reckon, Rafa, for 24?
so for me, 24, I'm gonna use the Maradona itself, the stadium itself. There's a lot of talk about new stadium. We need a new stadium. We need to purchase the stadium. All the talk about all of that. Where is it gonna be? All this stuff. I just sometimes wish it would go away because let's just leave it the way it is. I think it adds to the aura. It adds to the lore of Napoli. The
Mm,
fact that we don't own our own stadium, the fact that we play in a municipality, the fact that that's where everything happened, positive and negative, in Napoli's existence, and it still remains today a fortress. Um, I will always have the attachment with the stadium. I'm getting a little teary-eyed.
good.
I will always have that attachment with the stadium. And I feel like if we were to move or build a new one, it would kind of take away. I know times change and we have to move with the times, but to me, I wish we would never go anywhere, honestly.
Yeah. And I'm going to add this 25 was the first time I walked up the stairs and smelt the grass. It was just incredible. And I remember it was the last game. It was Insigne. It was all their last games, like Koulibaly, Insigne, Mertens.
That was your first match. That's right. That's
Yeah. And walking up the stairs and just smelling the grass.
yeah.
And I know it's different grass, but in my head, I was like, this is the
No.
same grass.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the same grass. And that's my, and also just thinking about the steps and thinking about the concrete. And I know it's not the most beautiful stadium, but it is the
No.
stadium where
But like I
Maradona
said, it
played.
adds to the magic of Napoli, you know? It
Yeah.
just
And I don't
does.
want to get a McDonald's at Napoli. Thank you very much.
No.
I
No.
just, it's not the club for me. But anyway, that's 25, right?
That's 25.
Hey, are we doing all right?
I
It's
think
about
so.
half an hour. Okay, so for your listening pleasure, everyone, we're going to wrap this up now and come back with the next 25. So whatever you're doing, take care. Forza Napoli.
Sempre.